Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Danny and Stan's Football Weekend. Two area fan bases, with a lot of intertwining in there, had themselves one hell of a weekend. The Kansas State Breed on Saturday, and many of the same people and others on Sunday as the Kansas City Chiefs took on the Minnesota Vikings at Arrowhead. All day long, it was a tough and kind of old-fashioned football game in the National Football League, and at many times it looked like it just wasn't going to happen for the Chiefs, even though they were playing a tough, rugged, and really inspired game against a good Minnesota Vikings team. But things turned at the end. The Chiefs raised their play just that much more, and it turned into a fantastic victory, and an important one, too, as all the other teams in the division won. And actually, the Chiefs, if they had lost their fourth straight home game, would have only been a half game ahead in the division, with the Oakland Raiders behind. Now they're comfortable once again at 6-3, just about to welcome Patrick Mahomes back, and all seems well in Chiefs Kingdom, to say the least. Pro football, college football, and, hey, a little bit more. On Danny and Stan's Football Weekend, it starts up right after this. We're here with Joe Spiker, the president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you worked for other companies in the construction industry. What inspired you to start your own company in Easton Roofing?
Well, you know, Danny, when you are working for somebody else, you oftentimes don't get to see the project through from beginning to end, and you don't get the final control over the customer experience. And I wanted to build a place where people can come and get work done on their house and not have to worry about being treated the wrong way, and get a good customer service experience start to finish.
The company slogan is "Where Integrity Matters." Why is that so particularly important to you?
Well, for us, what that means is treating each other with respect at work, treating our clients with respect, and making the right choice, especially when no one's looking. So when you're presented all the time as a contractor with choices that have to be made, are you going to make more money on this if you cut a corner? And we just wanted to make a place and a slogan that said to our people and to whoever is our customer, we're not going to do that. We're going to make the right choice regardless of profit.
Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. Are you thinking of starting a new business? Does your current business feel stuck? Or are you just trying to grow what you already have? Running a business is a lot of work, and it takes the right team to make it all happen. If you're looking to grow your business, call my friends Ben and Greg over at Fuego Consulting. They put together a company that can help you reach your business goals. Whether you're looking to get online, build a social media strategy, or rebrand your business, they can help. Call Fuego at 816-663-9695 or visit them online at fuegoconsulting.com. Fuego Consulting. Let's grow your business together. I was duped, and I recommend you be next. For better or worse, the ultra-realistic impression of me sits now in my wife's office to spook her on a daily basis. So what is Doob? D-O-O-B. It's the keepsake of a lifetime, a 3D-generated, incredibly lifelike figurine. 66 cameras take an image at exactly the same moment in any pose, and state-of-the-art 3D technology transforms that into exact replicas of you, anyone you know or love, a pet, whomever is close to your heart. Create lifetime memories with a Doob. Visit their Facebook page at Doob 3D Kansas City, or better yet, see their incredible creations. Visit their location down on the plaza in the heart of it at 231 West 47th Street in KC Mo. Doob. Be next. Sumner One is the company to make your office maximize efficiency. Their family of companies make up one of the largest independent dealers of office technology in the Midwest. They are proud to bring the best service and technology to top companies across the region. Sumner One can help your organization run more smoothly than ever. Sumner One printers, copiers, MFPs, managed print services, document management, infrastructure design, IT services, disaster recovery, and business continuity. Welcome to the one place where everything works. For more information, call Carl Little at 913-752-2256. Stan, we certainly had a very exceptional weekend of football. There was a lot of good football played, and in our area, we saw two teams really earn incredible victories. We'll get into the Kansas State Wildcats in our next segment, but the Kansas City Chiefs, win or lose yesterday, was going to be an admirable effort. And for a long, long time, it looked like it was going to be an admirable effort in a loss. But in the end, they get the win. And let's just start off with the fact that if they had had this admirable effort and they won, it would have been fine, and Patrick Mahomes would have been coming back. But all the teams in the division won yesterday, and they would have been a half game ahead of Oakland. I mean, this would have been a real race if they didn't get that win.
Yeah, it's about the NFL's division play is where you always start. So you don't ever just tell yourself, how did we do this week? Because the coaches they're in there for that, Danny. They can say, we're focused on ourselves and we got to win today. But I look at all four teams, and it really is relative to who. If you win in a week, you count big. Oh, two of them lost. It made a big difference. And we've seen the Chiefs lose and really have no effect. When we spoke on Monday or early in the week for this podcast, I said, oh, no big deal. Chiefs are fine. You lost. It's not great, but everybody else in the division lost. You said it well. This is one of the exact opposites where the Chiefs deserve so much credit for winning, but it's muted a little bit because everybody else won. So now you have the same amount of pressure on you. You didn't gain anything this week, but it really tells you what the difference would have been if you fought hard and lost a close game to a good team like Minnesota. The pain you would feel should be deep because you lost 4 games at home, 4 in a row. You lost a game in the division. I mean, a lot of things would be a little ugly. But today you can say Patrick Mahomes sure is moving well. Looks like he's going to come back. And the Chiefs are truly one of the very, very good NFL teams. If they can go win with Matt Moore at the quarterback against a good Viking team and find ways to win, so impressive. And then from the NFL's perspective, I mean, it wasn't 3 o'clock in the afternoon with everybody in the country watching or a Sunday night football game, but there are a lot of people who watch the noon games too, Danny, and it was the feature game. It was great football, great theater. I mean, it wasn't great having all those Vikings fans there from the Chiefs' perspective, but it was great theater, the way the fans are getting after it, the teams, the uniforms, and I didn't know who was going to win. It was a war right till the end.
Let's start with Andy Reid. I mean, his teams almost never get beaten badly, even when they get beaten. And this wasn't a day where I think we were going to get beaten badly in the end because they played so well, but he's a big part of the reason. And he's a big part of the reason I think that Matt Moore looked like he was the better quarterback on the field yesterday. That's for damn sure. And he's making about 1/50th of what Kirk Cousins is making. And we'll get into Cousins a little bit later on. But Moore hanging in there on a couple tough throws. Yeah, he missed a couple. He had Kelsey for a touchdown probably one time, and, that's why he's Matt Moore. I mean, and hey, Patrick Mahomes skies one every now and then too. But the way he hung in there on the deep ball to Tyreek Hill, watching on television, the way that looked, I said, oh, that ball's going to make it halfway to Tyreek Hill. That's what I thought. I thought he got hit in the chest and this ball wasn't going anywhere. And he did that a couple of times. 2 weeks' worth of Matt Moore was pretty good football.
It was. And if you want to say, well, Andy Reid's a miracle worker and, it doesn't matter too much who the quarterback is, no one's going to say that with Patrick Mahomes. But I'm already hearing, Alex Smith, what was he? I mean, he's just a Matt Moore. But just remember that Matt got sacked at a critically important time where you can't take a sack and somehow got bailed out by Butker's bomb of a field goal. Remember the tying field goal.
He also just landed on the football.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even – I don't know if anybody continued to pay attention, but he didn't even, cradle it or anything. He was just laying with the football under his belly.
It was weird, a couple of those things. And then later they fumbled the snap or whatever was going on with that and lost some yardage as well. And overcame it. So those are the kind of blurt plays that you just can't have, and most quarterbacks don't. But, hey, I'm a big Matt Moore fan, and Andy Reid deserves a ton of credit for getting me ready and doing all he's doing. But Matt Moore deserves some credit, too, because he just is wired the right way. There are certain guys like Chase Daniel we know about here. We talk about him. He's wired when he's a backup quarterback to just step in and go, even though I haven't played for years, watch this. I'm not going to do anything other than listen to my coach, believe in myself, put the ball up, and, boy, Matt Moore did that. And then – the story of the day is it's Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
Last year, I was on a big bandwagon that you get Andy Reid, a great coach, an offensive guy, quarterback coach, all those things, play caller, and you add a Patrick Mahomes. Wow, that's awesome. But I kept saying, and Tyreek Hill, and Tyreek Hill. And now I'm less on that, probably because there are months I thought Tyreek Hill's not going to play anymore, and I still was high on Patrick Mahomes. And to give Patrick Mahomes credit, I think he could overcome a lot. But that equation I put together last year still is very relevant, the Tyreek Hill factor. And yesterday's game would not have been won without him, no doubt. I mean, Moore, the Denver game, probably Denver would have come back and won that game if he didn't get that pass to Tyreek. But Tyreek is such a weapon, a difference maker, that Moore's smart enough to get it to him. and put the ball up for grabs, knowing this guy's unbelievable. He can track the football and do all those things. He's a legitimate receiver. The touchdown pass that he caught falling into the end zone, that he got his hands on, it's unbelievable. Speed. That he caught it, awesome. And that he kept his feet and ended up in the end zone, just off the charts. So there were other plays that he had. He had one drop, I think, but just an unbelievable Tyreek Hill difference maker. He was the difference in the game. So the weapons, the Kelseys and the Hills, also are a big deal for the Chiefs. Andy Reid uses them, makes Matt Moore better. Matt Moore's fine. He can win games. He can win 50% of the games. That's what he ended up doing. I mean, the Packer game was tough. The Viking game was tough, and the Chiefs ended up probably where they should. They won each of those. Could have switched them. Could have been switched around. Wouldn't have any problem with it. But it's hard to go 2-0 when you're playing against those type of teams, and you're Matt Moore. But everybody just stepped up and played well. Just credit to the Chiefs. Great NFL game. And I would just say I would be trying to do, I couldn't do this, back handspring, back flip, about all of it, except for I did see Kirk Cousins play. Okay, yeah. There is a little bit of the factor that guy made almost sure that the Vikings weren't going to win. And what a difference that was from Aaron Rodgers, who had not as good a team around him. The Packers, go watch the Packer-Charger game. Okay, right. Danny, go watch the tape. And those are two extremes, right? I mean, how well they played in Arrowhead and how poorly they played. They're neither one of those, but they're somewhere in between. It is Aaron Rodgers and a bunch of injured receivers, a very average defense. Green Bay's focused on that quarterback, okay? The Vikings are a team, and you have to play really bad to blow it, and Kirk Cousins did. First roll out of the game, the first bootleg, is all you had to see. I mean, every high school quarterback in this city would have rolled out and hit Adam Thielen in the.
I think he got Thielen hurt again too.
Yeah, he made him
twist him around.
How did he miss him? I mean, Patrick Mahomes would have drilled that with his left hand 10 straight times. I mean, oh well, I guess he would do that anyway. No, I'm just saying you couldn't have played that worse. When he rolled out, he was looking over the middle, wasting time. The Chiefs have made a great decision, Danny. Steve Spagnuolo has made a great decision. We're getting dogged in the running game. It can't happen. We're not going to let you win that way. It's the easiest way to beat a team is if you can give up the running game. So he's stacking the box. I mean, they are down loaded in the box and say, we're not going to run. And now they've advanced that to you're not going to allow you to bootleg and throw little passes to your tight end at the line of scrimmage. Okay? We talked about short passes, right, Danny, that are the same as the running game.
Right.
They went step one. Now they've gone step two, putting a lot of pressure on the guys in back, and they're holding up pretty well. I mean, they're doing a great job in the secondary to not get burned. But you've got to get the Chiefs. If you're the opponent, if you're the Vikings, you've got to get the Chiefs off of you. That's why they passed as much as they did early in the game. But he missed the easiest passes in the world. If that would have been caught by Thielen, turn up field, 15-yard gain, do that a couple times in the first drive, then get back to your running game, then Spagnuolo would have been in a bind. He may not have come off of it, Danny. He may have stayed in the run defense. I have no problem with that. And dared him. Remember the slight overthrows deep?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he said, if you're going to beat the Chiefs, you better do it with the 50-yard throw accurate. We'll give up one of those. But otherwise, we're going to play tight man-to-man, and we're going to stop the run. I love the strategy. The Chiefs aren't sitting around. Chris Jones makes a difference. He's blowing things up. They're causing havoc with their philosophy. But it's still right there, Danny, for people to make them pay. And the Vikings were the perfect team.
And twice they had huge plays with backs who were uncovered. I mean, completely uncovered, guys, without anybody 15 yards. And so it seemed like throughout the body of the game, what we've talked about since you said Spagnuolo has done this is that there was going to be stuff available to the opponent. But first of all, Cousins was lousy. And then second of all, the Chiefs did seem to pick up their level right when the game was needed to be won at the end.
Yeah, the 3-and-out was awesome. I mean, because we just talked about this. Step one is to stuff the run. Step two is after you're stuffing the run, don't forget that they might bootleg and slip someone out just 3 to 5 yards down the line of scrimmage. Can't we attack the run and also notice them? Well, Sorensen did a great job. I mean, he came to stop the run. He goes, aha, tight end slipping out. I'll go tackle him for a loss. Great strategy. They've got a philosophy there. They're improving. Chris Jones blew some things up. A quarterback misses a throw here or there, and suddenly you're on the verge, Danny, of giving the defense credit because it almost sounds like I'm not giving the defense credit. They started affecting throws. But at the beginning of the game, just go watch the Thielen pass. That is not an effective
there was
throw.
One to the running back. What's this?
Well, he basically airmailed the ball over guys.
If 4 or 5 times, yeah.
If you would have done one of those ESPN deals where you just wipe everybody out and show the receiver and the quarterback, you'd say, how did the arc of the ball go flying over his head 4 yards above his head and landing into the bench? That just doesn't happen, Danny. That was an awful quarterback game by Kirk Cousins. He really did so poorly that he made 3 unbelievable plays, which the rating system that we use is going to overvalue, and that's the touchdowns. Now, touchdowns are big, and I'll give him A+. His 3 touchdown throws were all big time. The exact opposite of everything I said about him.
Right.
So you got to say, well, I like a quarterback who can make a throw in the red zone for a touchdown. So, hey, Kirk Cousins, congratulations. Those 3 plays are big time. Tom Brady-like. It was not easy to score. He did a great job. But almost every other down in the day, he looked awful, totally inaccurate, and never made the Chiefs pay. But it's fine. To make teams beat you that way, I'm totally comfortable with it. Give up a 70-yard play over the top once in a while. Hey, they don't have Tyreek Hill.
Right.
And you might get some pressure on him. And if you break their confidence down a little bit and you stuff the run, you start breaking down everything. Again, if I were the Minnesota coach, Danny, it'd be as simple as me to just pick up the stat sheet and go, okay, did we play a very even game with the Chiefs?
All day long.
Yeah, I think it was. Were we way behind ever? No, I don't think so. Were we even ahead for a while in the fourth quarter? Yeah, we were. Was it tied at the end? Yes. Okay, now, can you please explain to me why we ran 27 times and we threw 38? Can you just please? Well, Danny, that's normal NFL. That's normal, okay? That's just basic. That's everybody. I would still say I'd keep punching that Chiefs defense in the mouth. I would still say we may not beat the Chiefs, but our best chance to beat a Super Bowl-level Chiefs team is to keep running the ball. When you got a running back like that.
Especially when you see your quarterback, he seems to be the type of person, body language-wise, I don't know what's inside him, but
he's too smart.
It seemed like when he missed the first throw, this is like a golfer gets up on the first tee and he just blows his first drive, 8 miles left, and so then the next one's 8 miles to the right, and now he's cooked. That's sort of what Cousins looked like, because he'd been great in his previous games. Now, they came against substandard competition, but he was great in October.
Danny, go introduce yourself and have a dinner party this week with 10 of your best friends, really good people, okay? Kirk Cousins would be in that group. I mean, he'd be over your house. You'd go, you are such a good guy. Are you the quarterback of the Vikings? You are not cocky. You're a Christian, good, humble guy. You're playing with the kids like everybody else. I mean, you don't even act like you're special. And we saw you on TV the other day. And he'd be, nope, that's the problem. Good guys don't make great quarterbacks. Okay? The cockiness, the edge, the stupidity to think, I'm unbelievable. You think I play bad? Forget that. I mean, Brett Favre never worried about throwing a bad pass.
Right.
Never. If you're
and this is an on the field thing. I mean, they're a nice.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is a nice guy. Roger Staubach, you're the guy you love the most. Great
but
guy.
But
when they cross the line,
different dudes. They don't, like Phillip Rivers doesn't cuss. I mean, he brings it onto the field like he's a Catholic guy who says I'm not going to cuss, but on the edge, oh man, you got an edge about you. And he didn't have that. He's like walking on the field going, man, I can't believe today's just not my day.
Right.
The ball's just not feeling very well. I sure hope I get better. You saw him talking to himself,
right?
Going, wow, And in the old days, an old coach would have just ripped him a new one and made him mad, and then he would have got him back in line,
Right.
But nowadays you don't do that, Dan. You don't, not to a franchise quarterback making millions of dollars.
Zimmer would probably be the closest thing to a guy who would do it.
Yeah. Well, Zimmer's just so mad about the whole thing. Zimmer's like me. How did we possibly pass more than we ran?
They did
I want to coach in the 1960s.
Right.
And then you go, coach, and then they pat him on the back and they go, hey, you gave up the longest run in Chiefs history, dude. We win the game if you don't give up the Williams run. So he can't be bad-mouthing his own offense, which he would very willingly be able to do. But that's a good example. The Chiefs busted a 91-yard run, Danny. If you are the Vikings and you have that attack, you can't say, well, darn, the Chiefs are stacking the run, and they're only giving us 3.5 yards a carry. You don't think that way. You say, if we pound it 10 more times, one of these times we're going to get a crease. And in a mid-20s point game, one crease with Dalvin Cook could have been a touchdown for the Vikings,
right?
And they would have won the game. So I just think passing too much against the Chiefs is good for the Chiefs. And Spagnuolo has said in the NFL, coordinators want to pass, but then he got exposed. We saw a couple teams roll through here and show the blueprint, right? He did the perfect thing, said, you aren't going to run against us. That blueprint isn't going to work. because you don't want the Ravens to see it. Did you see the Ravens play the Patriots?
Right.
They have finally decided, like they should against the Chiefs, just going, we're going to pound the ball, and then we're going to throw when we want to.
Right.
And we're going to throw vertically, or we're going to throw in the flat. We're not going to bail you out. We're going to run the ball and run the quarterback. The Ravens are a dangerous team. When we think about the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl, now, first of all, we got to talk about the division because everyone won.
Right.
And Denver will fight. No matter who the quarterback is, Denver has a fighting spirit about them. They're not a beaten-down organization like Cleveland. They're a mess. And we want to make the Broncos a mess, but, they're really not. They're not very good, but they're not a mess. They'll fight you. The Chargers are dangerous.
Yeah,
the Chargers have the worst injuries.
You can see them winning 5 in a row right now.
They do some dumb stuff. They make every game close when it shouldn't be, but I tell you what, they were 12-4 last year. They have the capability to skyrocket. And the Raiders, when their quarterback stays calm, he's a little bit of a head case like Kirk Cousins, but less. Kirk Cousins is about an 8 on a scale of 1 to 10 head case because he's too nice a guy. He's going I bet the fans are really upset with me at home. I'm missing some. I got to make that play.
Right.
But you get the same thing in Oakland. Carr is just a little bit too much of a normal guy. He gets down on himself too quickly. But when he's not down on himself, and if Gruden can keep him focused, he's a good quarterback. They had a good running game. The Raiders are better. So here we go. The Chiefs have 2 games against the Chargers, 2 dangerous games. Now, tell me the Andy Reid factor's in play, and he wins all his division games, and he's better than all these teams, and I go, sign me up. Why wouldn't that happen? I wouldn't expect the Chiefs to lose more than 1 remaining division game, which means 1 division game for the whole year. That's incredible work when you do that. You do 5-1 in your division, you're in good shape. I fully expect the Chiefs to do that and go on and win the division. But great win, and hopefully Patrick Mahomes is able to get back. It was great to give Butker some confidence because in Green Bay, game, he could look in the mirror and say, hey, maybe I had something to do with this. So big-time NFL game. Nice win for the Chiefs. Keeps them in great position, and let's enjoy the regular season and the playoffs. Yeah, I'm ready for the playoffs excitement, but there's NFL regular season is so cool. And yesterday, no game more fun to watch than Chiefs-Vikings.
Absolutely the case. Well, on a one-sided basis, there was no more game more exciting to watch than Kansas State's unbelievably strong play against a Kansas team that was giving it a go, but they just didn't have it. We'll talk college football coming up next on Danny and Stan's Football Weekend.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
There's no need to get a case of the Mondays every week, not during football season anyway. Hey, this is Matt Llewellyn from the 23rd Street Brewery, and we are the place for Monday Night Football. Food and drink specials every week, and all new televisions always at 23rd Street Brewery. The hardest thing about Mondays now will be getting through the workday, although waking up on Tuesdays might be a little bit tough. But remember, watch all the Chiefs games, NFL games, every game at the 23rd Street Brewery.
Looking for a truly unique escape from your normal entertainment or corporate team-building regimen? Stay tuned for an exclusive offer only for Reasonably Irreverent listeners. I'm excited to tell you about an extraordinary destination, the Exit Room, located in the heart of beautiful downtown Lee Summit. The Exit Room is a distinctive entertainment option that offers a cool alternative to the normal couples night out, family get-togethers, and corporate team-building events. The Exit Room is a one-of-a-kind boutique escape room catering to special occasions and corporate team-building events and is unmatched in the Kansas City metro. With 5 individually designed and varied escape room adventures, your party or employees can unplug from their electronic world, interact with one another, match wits, and ultimately escape the humdrum of the ordinary. The Exit Room adventures cross decades and centuries and create fascinating fun. I know the owners well. They are local folks, their staff is warm and friendly, their lobby is inviting and beautiful, and their adventures are award-winning. Check online. There are over 1,000 reviews and note that they are a rare 5-star ranked business. Visit their website and Facebook page, and any of my listeners who books online at theexitroomkc.com using the promo code ClinkScale19 gets 10% off any ticket purchase. The Exit Room in Lee Summit. Unplug, interact, and escape.
For many people, a family law case will be one of the most difficult experiences in their life. The law firm of Kenneth McRae will help you through it. Personal and effective help from Ken in concert with you will develop a unique strategy for your unique case. As Ken always says, divorce can be civil law, not civil war. Licensed in Kansas? Visit McRaeLawOffice.com or call 913-972-4765.
Stan, it was a game about making an early statement for each coach, a veteran coach in Les Miles and a first-year coach in Chris Kleiman, starting a new era, and an era previous where Kansas State had been completely the dominant game. But a narrative heading in where each team was coming off playing their best football in a previous game in a season where they'd been pretty schizophrenic as both teams. So there was certainly the betting line was inside a touchdown. There was every reason to think that we might have a ball game, and the place was sold out. Now, a third of the place being K-State fans certainly helps, but still, that's been that way in the past, and it's been 2/3 full or less for the game. So all the elements were there. I mean, they really were. 2:30 kick, beautiful day, and then from everybody's standpoint except Wildcat Nation, the Cats just ruined the game. I mean, they were just too good from start to finish and just annihilated KU. I mean, a 38-10 game that really wasn't even that close.
No, it wasn't that close at all. And because first of all, Kansas got a late touchdown with their first stringers against K-State's second team. They finally made a play. They were sitting at 200 yards for total offense for the day,
maybe less.
And K-State, was using their third string running back. James Gilbert, the transfer from Ball State's done a nice job. He's had 1,000-yard seasons in the past, and he looks like he's the right kind of back for K-State's game. He really is. And Jordan Brown from North Carolina, the transfer, has a little bit more spark, a better pass catcher. They make a great 1-2 punch, and they've rarely been available this year together. Unfortunately, Jordan Brown's been injured, not James Gilbert, but they both were against Oklahoma. And you go, whoa, those two guys, and a Skylar Thompson playing at a high level makes a pretty good little combination for K-State. But still, the adrenaline you get when you're playing Oklahoma, maybe Oklahoma let their guard down, getting an early lead, whatever. You can put all the story you want, but you saw a K-State team that showed you something, that beat Oklahoma, was impressive, doing it the way that Coach Chris Kleiman wanted. It was like North Dakota State / Bill Snyder K-State football. So you move into the next week. Where are you? Well, I knew where K-State was. Their first and second string running backs weren't going to play. And Harry Trotter, who's been a helpful blocker in a 3-back set, fighting like crazy, kid from Kansas, a transfer in also from Louisville, he was not at the same level as those two guys, and he was going to start against a Kansas team that was putting up 500 yards against some decent defenses, especially down at Texas doing what they did. They had the explosiveness. They had Puka Williams. Carter Stanley's hitting on all cylinders. He'd already thrown in previous games against K-State over 300 yards and over 400 yards. And they're fired up in there at home. Les Miles had given them confidence. Why wouldn't you think that they would be dangerous and a tough out? And I'm sitting there going into the game going, I trust all the things people are saying. This is going to be very interesting. Bill Snyder's not standing over there. They could have put a mannequin up of him and act like, hey, KU, you got to play again. You're just going, what's going to happen today? And I knew K-State's going to be relying on a third-string running back, a freshman running back who's trying to play only 4 games so he can redshirt. And would he be put under pressure at this point? And, by the way, the other guy who practiced at wide receiver, that running back was a wide receiver, Phillip Brooks. People don't realize he practiced at running back all last week. So I go into the game thinking, man, this could really be close because K-State's going to be fighting for 3 yards and 4 yards. Even successful plays might only be 3 and 4 yards. And, boy, that's hard duty against Kansas. So why wouldn't it be close? Why wouldn't it be exciting? But for K-State's offensive line to come off the ball, and Courtney Messingham as an offensive coordinator, just to drill Kansas. Be 5 steps ahead of them every play. It didn't matter who was in the – K-State ran in 7 wide receivers, 3 running backs, 3 tight ends in maybe their first series, but definitely early in their second series. They had already run all those guys in there. It didn't matter who was in. They were executing at a high level, and they were punching Kansas in the mouth. So defensively, KU was overmatched, even with the third-string running back. It was the weakness of Kansas, trying to stop the K-State run, and K-State just attacked it. And then Skylar Thompson played out of his mind.
Right.
It would almost be his best game ever, except for it's hard not to say that when he threw the ball to Byron Pringle and they beat Oklahoma State at OSU a couple years ago when they were number 10 in the country, that was amazing. He ran, he threw. That probably has to be his best game, but this was – when you do plus and minus plays, I don't know where the minus play for Skylar was all day.
Yeah, and the thing is, they were great.
Wrong.
They were great play-to-play, but on the few plays where Kansas maybe was about to make a play, he turned it into a big play for Kansas State instead. So you took the 90% of the plays where K-State was winning the battle anyway, and then in the other 10%, he made some kind of improvisational play that tipped it in the favor of Kansas State there, too.
Yeah, ran it for over 100 yards, did everything right. So K-State played at a high level. Now let's just step back a second. Kansas surprisingly got stuffed on when they were on offense as well. K-State was one step ahead of them. Scotty Hazelton, a name you don't hear as much. One play, Danny, was the most amazing play I think I've ever seen on defense. Right before the half, Kansas got the ball. They're down only 14-3. They're dangerous as heck, can hit on a long play, especially when they know there's a little time left when they'll throw it up for grabs, that kind of thing. First play, K-State's linebacker lined up where a linebacker should be. When the ball was snapped, he did something so unusual it caught my eye. I mean, I'm trying to watch as many of the 22 players as possible, but I got to know where the ball is. So obviously I see more of the quarterback and what's happening around there. Okay, but I'm trying to watch. But, Danny, one guy took off running like he was the 12th guy on the field and had to get off the field. At the snap of the ball, the linebacker ran straight to the K-State bench. And it was so unusual, something I'd never seen before. I started watching him. I mean, I couldn't even watch Carter Stanley. I watched him like I was in an ISO camera. I go, what is he doing? He ran straight to the sideline, turned around, and Carter Stanley threw the ball right to him in the face mask. Are you kidding me? Scotty Hazelton, that's the gutsiest defensive call I've ever seen. To leave the middle of the field wide open, and for some reason, they thought he had to know something about the first play of a drive. How did he know the quick out was coming? Because the other linebacker didn't run to the other bench.
Right.
He ran over there in front of the receiver, and Carter Stanley threw him the ball right in the face mask. It was not a great play by the linebacker, like breaking out underneath the curl. This wasn't a curl. It was an out. He caught the ball. It was almost out of bounds. Right. In one play, it went from Kansas ready to drive down the field to K-State having an interception. They kick a field goal before the half and separate by a little bit more. So it was an amazing game. K-State played great except for the penalties. The penalties stopped every drive. It wasn't unusual. Kansas. It was just the penalties. And K-State should have been ahead at half, not 17-3, but 31-3.
Right.
It should have been 31-3 at the half. It was a compliment to K-State in the second half because I thought Kansas was set up for a real chance. When you lose your opportunity like that, Danny, and you're going against a Kansas team that's good in the fourth quarter.
And it come back from 17-0
against Texas Tech.
Similar deficit against Texas.
And against Texas, they were down,
and they down big in that
so
game
I thought,
too.
Boy, you do not dominate a game and lead by only 14 points. That is not good. That's not a good formula. Plus, what happens if you let down at the half? But K-State went right out, got the ball, and cranked it right down the field and said, this game is over. And it was. First drive of the third quarter, game over. But here's the key point about this thing. Do not tell me about what Kansas isn't. Okay, Kansas is a team that's won 3 games this year. That is pretty darn good. They've won 3 games for 2 times in a row. That hasn't happened since like 08, 09. They're probably going to win another one. Maybe not, but they have a chance to win another one. This was not about Kansas being worse than we thought they were, okay? They're the 10th best in the league, but close to the pack. How about that? Is that fair?
Yeah.
This is about K-State. This is about K-State because it verified what you saw against Oklahoma wasn't just one day. Wasn't just that one hot day or a mirage or the ball bounced their way. What they did against Kansas looked exactly like what they did against Oklahoma. We can't anoint them and say, oh, they'll be in the Big 12 championship game, but this is all about K-State being way better than we thought they were, even going into the game, because you said, well, at Oklahoma, it's magic. Sometimes magic occurs. I was happy with what K-State did, but this is off the charts. And then Chris Kleiman set the tone and said, this rivalry is not going to get thrown all, Ron Prince. It's not going to be Ron Prince because Ron Prince beat Texas as the number 3 team in the country and then lost to KU.
Yep.
And then lost to KU and then lost to KU. And he had Josh Freeman as a quarterback. So, this Bill Snyderism, this crazy 22 of the last 23 games he coached against Kansas winning, that doesn't even make sense. So you wondered, how is this all going to roll? And Chris Kleiman just says, same old, same old. And it's good for the K-State program in the long run. So, congratulations to K-State for what they did. But here's the disadvantage KU had, Danny. If Kansas were to upset K-State, if it was going to happen, my thought would be that it would be when K-State had their guard down and didn't even respect Kansas, and it would probably have to be in Lawrence. Those are 2 things that bring the chance together.
Right.
Okay? Now, Kansas had confidence. They were fired up. But in 15, K-State went to Lawrence, and their players, if I would have said, what do you think about the KU game, they would have laughed. The players would have laughed and go, we'll beat KU. Who do we play the next week? I mean, even Bill Snyder was focusing, and Bill was focused, right?
Right.
And he had their attention. But let me tell you, the players were not worried. They're worried about how many times they're going to pancake block guys, not miss a block.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Arrogance is okay. Okay, I just talked. Kirk Cousins needs a little bit more arrogance, if you heard our first segment. But you got to be careful. In 2004, they lost because they never thought Kansas would ever beat them. That's the one time Bill Snyder lost, okay? So 15, K-State was struggling with quarterback issues. Remember that year?
Yep.
It was a struggle. K-State had to win their last 3 conference games to get to 6-6, Danny. That team was fighting like crazy, but they just got decimated. But they still didn't respect Kansas. But they blocked 2 punts to start it off. It just changed the dynamics, and you go, okay, here comes the Wildcats. 17, K-State's over in Lawrence again, and the same type of things. Now, K-State's not decimated, but the Wildcats got young quarterbacks. They had an injury early in the first half, and lost their quarterback for the game. But guess what? They got a touchdown return on a kickoff return, fought and took all Carter Stanley had, and won the game by 10. 18, finally in Manhattan, K-State had their guard down, and Kansas actually led, and Puka Williams and Khalil Herbert had giant runs called back for holding in the game, or Kansas might have had to lead, and still Alex Delton had to play great to bring K-State back. K-State won by 4. So there are 3 chances Kansas had to upset K-State in the last 4 years. A chance, not a probability, but I saw the makings of an opportunity. What's different that's important, and here's what I'm talking an hour about to get to the point. The problem for Les Miles and the Jayhawks, K-State did not overlook them.
Right.
It was partly a Chris Kleiman deal, like one game at a time, and that kind of, I don't care who it is, truly mattered. And the other thing is, social media is great. Everyone loves to, get more out there about their program, and K-State fans love it. But I tell you what, when Les Miles says, just to his team, innocently enough, but with ESPN's cameras rolling, who is K-State?
Right.
That is good bulletin board material.
Yep.
And KU playing good football brought out respect. I knew if KU won this game, they would deserve so much credit because K-State didn't overlook them. And, Danny, for the last 5 or 6 years, I'm telling you, deep down, K-State players weren't scared at all. So this was going to be Kansas winning a legitimate game against a team that was treating them with respect. Problem is K-State's treated them with respect and punched him in the mouth and said, we are way better than you. So Kansas sometimes is better to be sleepy and let some teams be overconfident. Remember when they upset Texas?
Right.
Let some teams come in overconfident. But K-State was focused. And I'll tell you what, Chris Kleiman, he truly doesn't look at this game any different than he does the OU and all of that. And Bill Snyder kind of believes that too, even though for some reason, how did he ooze out more against KU? I'm not sure, but it's a good sign. K-State football played at a high level. This is not a cut down to Kansas. Kansas fans should not be bummed about their football team at all. Whatever you thought about your team last week, you should still think now. But K-State fans, whoa, get ready because Texas is up next, and K-State has 4 winnable games, 4 losable games. It's like the NFL. You look at the odds for this week's games in the Big 12, and Oklahoma-Iowa State's a little bit of a separation. The other one's like 2, 4. Danny, these games are unbelievable.
Right.
If there weren't a national championship fight going on, if we just watched the Big 12, it has been so much fun watching these teams play.
Let's just spend a couple minutes before we wrap it up on Missouri. Kansas has a bye this week before they return to action. Missouri's coming off a bye. We saw Georgia seemingly find some form. They really had control of the game against Florida most of the way, although they had to fight. But it was an excellent football game with a team that is obviously a talented football team that maybe wasn't showing that talent. But against Florida, they seemed to find their way, and I guess the hope is for Missouri that there's a letdown because that's a big-time game, and the teams played well. But Georgia, to me, seemingly found something from the quarterback played better. This isn't a good prescription for Missouri coming off a bye to get their mojo back.
Well, hey, Georgia's tough. They got a lot to play for. They want to be a division champion, get some momentum. But I want to go through a little equation with you, Danny, to help us understand where Missouri is. Okay, on a 1 to 10 scale, forget the schedule because this whole Missouri thing about how great they're going to be 8-0, 7-1, 6-2 is all about the schedule. Okay, but what do you think they are on a 1 to 10? What would you rank Missouri as a team?
7.2.
Okay, so they're above 7. And right now Missouri's played to what level the last 2 games?
3.
Okay, 3. Now, I think that it'll be very easy for Barry Odom to circle the wagons. He's been awesome at this. It's the one thing he's been predictable at. Right when you want to write off the Tigers, that's when he bounces back. It's a road game with a week off. They've had plenty of time to lick their wounds and get mad. Okay, good. And I keep saying this, Danny, when you walk out on the field and you look up and you're at Georgia or you're playing a team with those kind of uniforms, a new level of nervousness comes over your body, which is the best thing you could ever have. If you could sell that drug to football players, they would be taking it every game. You can't create that actual excitement / fear of playing someone. Honor. Missouri will come out and fight like crazy against Georgia. The uniforms, the hedges, and Coach Barry Odom is going to have them playing at a 7.2. Okay? Now, what's Georgia think of Ole Mizzou after the Florida game? Well, they don't think about Ole Mizzou. They watch the tape of the coaches shouldn't let them see the tape of the last 2 games.
Yeah, they should go back to another one.
But they don't. They make you watch every game. And they're going to be like, you're kidding me. They got dogged by Kentucky? And, Coach, is that Vanderbilt's uniforms out there? Kirby Smart is a great coach, but he is not smart enough to keep his team from hugging the girls around campus for the big win over Florida and how much fun everyone had in Jacksonville, and no one's thinking about Missouri. It's the perfect setup. Georgia is going to overlook Mizzou. Mizzou's going to fight like crazy, and the key thing you said is if Mizzou were truly a 2 or 3, it wouldn't matter. But they're a 7.2. So if they play anywhere between 7 and 8, you wouldn't even think it was that crazy. Georgia's looking at them like they're a 3 trending downward, and they're really a 7 trending upward. Doesn't mean they're going to win, but I think Mizzou will fight them like crazy. And it's just how asleep will Georgia be? If Missouri gets crushed, if they go out there and they're behind 21-3 midway through the second quarter and Georgia's just playing with them and running the ball and laughing, that is a bad, bad sign for Missouri. Because the Georgia players are 20-year-olds, and they had every focus in the world to beat Florida. Their backs were to the wall. They had 1 loss. They take a deep breath like any human being and just say, well, I'm glad we're playing Missouri at home this week. No big deal. No concentration. This is perfect for Missouri to keep it close. And if Missouri isn't within 10 at the end of the third quarter, I'll be the most surprised guy in the world. And if they get blown out early,
it's a bad
then
sign.
Now you start saying, when is Barry Odom going to hit the brakes? Because he's been so good at it. And he goes, don't worry about our team. We're fine. And all those comments he made, he's saying that internally right now to the AD and anybody else, the big boosters who talk to him, whatever. If you get blown out, then you start bringing the Florida game into question, like the home field advantage, the chance to get fired up and play them. Will Kentucky break you? That's the game. Right. If you don't show up against Georgia, you let Kentucky break your program. Vanderbilt was a little bit of a surprise, shouldn't have happened, but they knew they needed to bounce back against Kentucky. They did not. But what? You walk on the field and you walk out in the field and you see Kentucky uniforms. You don't see the hedges, Danny, and you see all the girls wearing basketball jerseys to the game, and you see some big old 7-footers over signing autographs in the stands. It's not the same. You cannot create the adrenaline. It's hard to play against Kentucky on the road. It's easy to get psyched up for Georgia. So let's watch. Will Missouri keep it close? If they don't, I think it's a bad sign.
Good analysis. That will make it more fascinating for me. I don't have that much optimism for Missouri, but I do agree with you. They should fight, and if they don't, we're going to start to the old seat under the pants of Barry Odom will start to get warm once more. Stan, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Danny.
This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like Easton Roofing, the presenting sponsor of Kansas City Profiles at the Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Easton Roofing, where integrity matters. We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klingscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new.